Hi, I'm Robyn Scherzer, and welcome to Robyn's Stampin' Hood. Hi everybody, welcome to my class, Flowering Fields. We are using this beautiful paper that can be found in the mini catalog with Stampin' Up. The colors are gorgeous, and I'm a total tulip girl. I love tulips. Had them in my yard as a kid, have them in my yard now as an adult. And I wanted to use these fun dies, the Windmill Field Dies and the Tulip Dies. So this class entails 4 different cards, and you will need the supplies that you bought from me if you bought them from me. Otherwise, you can go into your own stash and get that. You will also need certain inks. You're going to need the Mango Melody, Gorgeous Grape, Evening Evergreen, and Poppy Parade. And you'll also need a black ink as well. Now, I have used some of the sayings from the stamp sets that coordinate with this, but you can basically use any saying that you want. It doesn't matter that they go with this or not, but I will tell you that the Windmill Dies and stamp set are retiring. So if you love them, please get them while supplies last. They will be gone after May 2nd, or they might even be gone now. I'm not sure. But anyways, we're going to get started, and we're going to start with our first card, and this is it here. So go ahead and get out your supplies if you purchase them from me. And we're going to only use the ink for the Happy Mother's Day. So if you don't have that stamp, then we're just going to use something else, thinking of you, happy birthday, whatever your heart desires. So you will need to have your long piece of Pear Pizzazz that is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. Okay, if you got the supplies from me, you would have gotten a little baggie full of goodies of all the die cuts that were cut out, and you would have gotten a colored sheet. I just printed mine in black and white, a colored project sheet. So this is going to tell you how to cut your designer series paper. So you got a 12 by 12 package of the Flowering Fields, a whole package, and you can choose what colors you prefer. Or what papers you prefer. But my only advice to you, so here are the measurements of what you're going to cut. And my only advice to you is when it comes to how the tulips are sitting, like at the bottom, you want them to be, going the correct way. Now, the one piece I didn't cut that we will cut right now is the sky piece. So I used this piece for the sides of my card, and then I'm going to cut a piece for the sky piece behind that, and that piece is going to be 4 1/4 by 2. So I'm just going to actually cut the 2 slice first and then cut it by 4, and I just really want the blue part of it for the sky, so that's why I'm kind of cutting it a little weird right here. Okay, so we have blue for sky. All right, so those are the 4 pieces that you will need to cut out of your paper. Is you'll need to cut 2 sides that are 3 1/4 by 4 inches. So those would go on the side. And then your bottom piece is the same. I just did it with the tulips going the other direction, so it's looking correctly. And then you'll need a 2 by 4 1/4. And again, if you got the supplies from me, you would have gotten this little baggie full of fun stuff and all the cardstock that you need. So I'm just going to do this real quick to kind of get these pieces out of the way. So you're going to take your sky piece that you've cut from your DSP. Okay. Just make sure if you did get the supplies from me that I've cut this piece right. On your project sheet, it should say that this should be 2 1/8 by 4 3/8. So we're gonna layer this together. That's why I gave you also the cardstock cut. So if you wanted to reproduce this, you could easily do so. And then in your little bag that you've got for me, you should, oops, if I can open it, you should have 3 strips of the pool party that you will layer these other pieces on that you cut. So let's do that real quick. Again, you probably should just make sure that I cut them correctly for you. I try my best, but sometimes I get a little loopy. Oh, look at that one, worked good. Okay, we have all 4 of these pieces together, so we're gonna set those aside for now. And then I'm gonna reach back into my little bag here, and I'm gonna get this smaller piece of, this is a rectangle, stitched rectangle, and we're gonna go ahead and stamp the Happy Mother's Day. Again, if you don't have that stamp, just find yourself a narrow stamp, or if you wanna switch out the saying to something different, you absolutely can with a, you know, a different strip on there. Sorry if I'm getting my head in there. I'll just put that like that. There you go, perfect. Okay, so now let's put this stuff aside for right now, because what we want to do is the most difficult part of it. And this is where you probably want to pull your project sheet out and make notes for yourself in case how I wrote it, you might go, what is she talking about? So you're going to need your trimmer for this, and you're going to need your piece of Pear Pizzazz. And we're going to work from 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. So I'm not sure if I was very clear in my directions when my class did it. She said, oh, you forgot to, one of the gals said you forgot to write it. So I tried to put that in there. So what I'm doing is bringing this edge up to the 1 inch mark over on my trimmer. And now I just want my trimmer. And what I found, it's easier to do this standing up. So see, on our trimmers here, we have a ruler, and I'm bringing the cutting blade, the trimming blade, to the 1 inch mark. And then I'm going to bring it all the way down to the 6.5 mark. So I think you can see that. So here's the 6.5, and here's the 1. So what I did is I just created a slit on that side. So now all I'm going to do is flip it and bring it to the 1 inch again. I'm using the 1 inch over on this side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to take my trimmer blade and put it at the 1 inch mark, and then bring it down to the 6 inch mark. Okay, so now we have 2 open slits, which is what we should. So now we're going to take this and we're going to do some trimming, or not trimming, I'm sorry, scoring. So this is where it gets a little weird, because the scores are, they're on here for you, but it, again, you might want to look above, stand above your score as you do this. So what you're going to do is you're going to score between your cut and the edge of the paper, the cut and the edge of the paper, on 3 of these scores. So I like to work this way when it's less than 1.5 inch. So I'm at the 1 inch mark over here, and I'm going to actually start my scoring this way. Again, you can see we cut at the 1 inch mark, so we want to start at the 1 inch mark and just score to the cut. And so all I've done is score that way. And then I'm going to bring it to this cut, and I am going to score from the cut to the edge. Does that make sense? Can you see that? How I've just scored from the cut to the edge of the paper, from the cut to the edge of the paper. And now I want to go, so that was my 1 inch. So now I want to do that again at 2 inches. The exact same thing. I'm just scoring from the cut to the edge of the paper. I don't want to go through the middle. And then from the cut to the edge. If you hit a little bit of that middle piece, it's okay. It's going to be covered up. No one's going to see it. So there's 1 inch and 2 inch. And then the next one, we're going to extend our cutter out, and we're going to do it at the 6 inch, 6.5 inch mark. Same thing. We're just going to go from the cut to the edge. The cut to the edge. So those are those 3 scores. Now we're going to do 1 score right in the middle between the 2 cuts, and we're going to do that at the 5.5 inch. Okay, so I'm lined up at 5.5 inch, starting at the cut, and I'm scoring between. So let's see. So you can see there are my score lines, and oops, I'm going to get this out of the way so you can see how easily it does what it's supposed to do if you're folding. So I want to fold this down so my edge is down, and then fold this, and you can see how the center card is now popping, right? And there's your fold. So that's what your fold should look like. Easy peasy, right? So let me show you the sample again. When it stands up, it's going to stand up like that. Can you see that? So we should look exactly like that. Okay, and that's called the center step card. So let's go ahead and put it all together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this on this middle piece here. Pretty self-explanatory, eh? Okay, so I just finished putting the strips on. You can see it doesn't fit all the way to the bottom, and that's fine because it's going to be covered up by your little flap. So that should be the base of your card. And in the little baggie that I gave you, you should have 2 windmills. One is a darker color, and which is the chocolate chip or the Early Espresso, and one is this, excuse me, Soft Suede. So I just put, to put this together, I just put a little here and a little along the side here and at the top. I mean, you don't have to put it on every little piece. I always try to put it on corners just to make sure it holds down, but don't get too obsessed with that. Like it's fine. It'll be fine. So I'm just gonna do that. And then this layers perfectly over the windmill house, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. I'm sure there's a name for that, right? Okay, so then I'm going to take my piercing pad. Excuse me, I have a frog all of a sudden. And I'm going to take this little windmill part. And like I said, this should have all been in your little baggie that you got from me if you did the supplies. I'm just taking my piercing tool and I'm piercing a hole where that is. And then I'm going to take my actual blades, and you should have had 2 little brads. We actually sell a container of them called round and square brads, and they're in black and white. So I gave you 2 black ones, and you don't want this to go on too terribly tight, only because then your little windmill won't turn. Oops. You want it on some tight though, right? Okay. And you will end up having to cut the little legs of the brads. So I'm just going to do that right now because they are a little long. So I just took a scissors and then they went flying someplace. So that's okay. And then you're going to do that. And I probably have that a little too tight. So I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit, because I do want my windmill to turn. So, see, there you go. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, so before we put our windmill on, again, in that little baggie, you should have some clouds. So I'm just gonna glue down the clouds real quick, because, you know, it's a blue sky with a few clouds in our tulip field. Like I said, I just love this set, and I hope you got it before it retired. There. and there. And I'm going to use, and you could put them anywhere. It's just kind of random. And then, excuse me again, we're going to use some dimensionals to pop up, because I do want it to have a little bit of, don't put the dimensionals on your, because you need it to have a little bit of give on your brad, but I am going to put a few around here. And then we're just going to put it at the bottom of the tulip field. Oh my gosh, it's so stinking cute, you guys. And then you got this adorable little bicycle. OMG, right? So, but you know what I think I'm going to put on first is our little tag. And again, if you want a bigger saying, I just use the rectangle stitch dies, and you could, you know, put a little bit of a bigger one on if you had a bigger saying. I'm just scooting this all the way over so I have enough room for my bicycle. So, and again, I'm just hitting the bicycle in some of the spots that have bigger openings. I'm not worrying about every little spoke. Otherwise, you drive yourself crazy, wouldn't you? And the thing with this is they're so thin, even if you used our adhesive sheets, it'd still be a little goofy. All right, so I'm gonna put mine down a little bit further this time to give it a little bit of stability. And there you go, there's that. The last thing you're gonna do out of your little bag of goodies is, oh, I don't have them in this bag, but you will have some butterflies that I've cut out for you and put in your little baggies. These butterflies are the best. They're flat, but they give dimension, which I really like. And you know what? I'm going to put mine over here this time since it'll be away from the bike. But there you go. There is your first card. And this is called the Center Step card. Okay, let's start with the second card. This is just a very simple, my tulips are a little goofy, but that's okay. It is perfectly okay. It's handmade. That is what it's all about, right? So, excuse me. This piece here, so you should, if you got your supplies from me, you should have a Whisper White thick cardstock for your base, and I cut out one of the rectangle stitch dies for you as well. So this is the sheet that I used, and you're just gonna cut it to 5 1/4 by 4. So just make sure that you're going this way when you cut it. You know, so your flowers are going the right way. And let's see, we're gonna do this. So easy peasy, right? So that just does that for that piece of the puzzle. And then we're going to go ahead and do our tulips real quick. Let me show you how to do those. You definitely need your, if you're using the photopolymer, you definitely need your pad. And again, if you don't have this stamp set, any flowers will do, any saying will do. This is just, you know, if you came to the class and if you have the stamp set, but you know, we have so many different things, don't we, in our lives that we can handle. We can handle using a different stamp set. I know some get like, no, I need to be exactly like you. You don't need to be exactly like me. Okay, so we're going to use Mango Melody on this. And I don't know if I'm doing this the right way or not, but this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm actually going to start off with my Evening Evergreen, which is going to be the stems of my tulips, so you can see that. So, and I'm just going to kind of angle them off a little bit because we do want room for the saying. And I'm going to stamp that next, I think, just because it will help to know exactly where I'm sitting. So make sure I'm just going to stamp it the right way. And just going to scoot this over into the corner. And I'm doing it a little bit higher because I want my ribbon to run along the bottom. So that's perfect. Again, you guys, if you don't have the stamp set, it's not a big deal. Oops, I forgot my leaf. So let's do the leaf real quick. So I'm just going to do that. And you can do it this way too. And we'll do one more. How about like that? Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the actual tulip. So I found that if I did it full strength, the big piece, the big tulip, and I'm just going to set it right on top of my stem. And then I'm going to do that again over here. And then I'm going to take these other pieces for the tulip. And I'm probably using this wrong, but I don't care. I'm just going to create another little offshoot there. Like I said, I was just kind of guessing on how to do that, but I think that works. Excuse the banging that's going on. I'm working on my, oops, I got that upside down. Working on my new classroom slash craft room, and my guys down there finishing up the floor and the trim. Okay, so there, I think that's pretty cute, huh? So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then in your bag, you should have gotten the ribbon. So I'm just going to wrap it around. And I'm not, you know me guys, I don't do bows very well. So I am not doing anything fancy. I am just tying in a knot. Because, yeah, there you go. So I'm doing that. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit so I have room for my dimensionals. There we go. Trim that away using my ribbon scissors. And then again, in your little baggies, if you got things from me, you should have gotten some more of these butterflies. So I am going to take some of the butterflies and put it on here. I just love these butterflies. Like I said, I love that they're flat and they're not gonna be poking up on you. So then let's go ahead and put the card, the rest of the card together. It's so pretty. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I don't know where I put my bone folder, so I'm going to, I guess I'm not going to use it here. So then we'll take the piece that I cut and put that on here. I just love tulips, you guys. I can't. That and Gerber daisies, my two all-time favorites. Okay, and then let's put some dimensionals on this. I love this paper, you guys. I'm definitely keeping a few packs for myself. All right, and there you go. There is card number 2. Pretty simple. All right, let's get going on card number 3. Okay, I realize I probably might have confused some of you that have my project sheet. I called this card number 2, but this is either card 3 or 4 when it comes to cutting the DSP to 4 by 5 1/4. So I just wanted to throw that out there just in case you're looking at your project sheet going, what is she talking about? Okay, so this is actually card 2 on the project sheet. And I've given you all the dimensions to cut the designer series paper. And I'm just going to give you a real quick synopsis of what I did. I think it's easier. This is the sheet that I used. And what I found easier is I cut at the smaller marks first. So with the DSP, like the first cut is 1/2 inch. So there's actually 2 that are 1/2 inch. So I just did 1/2 inch down this way because now my flowers are going to run the right way. And then I cut the 2 1/8, 2 1/8 2 times. And then I cut it at 3 1/8 2 times. So that was the perfect size strip for that. And then I did the 5/8 and 7/8. So just run the smaller strip down this way and you should be good. Do check though my cuts for you on the design, on the cardstock. I found that I had cut one of mine wrong. So I do have those as well for what they should be. The one I had cut wrong was the 1 inch by 3 3/4. I had cut it too short for myself. So I just want to make sure that you guys have it cut at the 3 3/4. So before you put glue on the back of your designer series paper, make sure my cut is right for you on the cardstock. Okay, so that's my little tip for you on doing this card. So the easiest way that I found is, so you want to go ahead and do all your cuts of your designer series paper, which I have done, and then you should have the Gorgeous Grape cardstock. And then I've gone ahead and put everything on for me already, so you don't have to watch me do that. So it should frame out pretty good. You should have just a little frame. These are just an 1/8 frame, an 1/8 of an inch frame instead of my normal 1/4 inch. I just thought it looked a little bit better. So what you're going to do is, after you have that all done, I got some dog hair happening there. The best thing you can do, so this, you should have a white panel. This is 4 by 5 1/4. The best thing you can do is just lay it out for yourself. So you're going to start in the middle, and it might be a little wonky. You can see mine's a little off, but that's okay. And then you're going to take the next biggest one and go on each side of it. And that's probably too much space between it. And then you're going to do this, the next biggest, and then the smallest is going to go on the ends. So let's see how good I did there. And then this way, you're not gluing them down right away, but this way you can, so I'm a little off, so I'm just going to scoot everything over just a tad. And we should be good. We should be able to get it all in. So what I want you to do then is glue this all down. Make sure your flowers are going the right way. So you're just going to glue it all down on the panel just like this. And I would start with the middle piece and work your way out. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've put these all out there. Now I will say this. The way I cut this one is a little different than the way I cut this one. This one I had cut my piece of paper. So I had taken this and cut it to 3 1/4 or 3 3/4 by 5. And then I did all my cuts, which it was a little bit more tedious, but you can see then all my flowers line up and look exactly the same. Where these are a little off, but I don't know that people will notice that. So that's up to you and how you cut the paper. So those are the two different ways that I've cut the paper. So, okay, so let's finish this off then. And then you'll have your, again, I don't know, my bone folder has gone MIA. Oh, found it. All right. So you're going to, this is Mango Melody. And then I'm just going to layer that on top and glue her down. Now I think I'm going to change this just a little bit. And again, this is your creation, you guys. You do whatever your heart desires on this. I'm just giving you some ideas. So, one of the gals at the class said, wouldn't this card be beautiful with the tides of ocean or the waves of ocean paper? So if you ordered that and have it, I think that's a great thought for that paper. It's no longer available, unfortunately. It was while supplies last. So, but I thought that would be really pretty too, and I might try that later. So that's our base. And I did stamp that in black, but I'm actually going to stamp it, I think, in Gorgeous Grape. So this is the stamp set that I used to get that happy birthday, the best year. And this is retiring. So if you like the fonts and all the fun little sayings, now is the time to get it for sure. Because it is while supplies last. So let's go ahead and I'm going to stamp. I don't need my pad because this is a rubber stamp. So if you got supplies from me, you would have gotten this little stitched rectangle. Excuse me. And I'm just going to stamp happy birthday to you. beautiful. I just thought maybe it would look better than the black. Yeah, I think I do like it better than the black. Just makes it a little bit more happier, maybe. And then if you got supplies from me, you would have gotten some of these in your little baggie. Some of these are, I think they're artesian sequins, and they also are retiring. So if you like them, which I love them because they're flat, they're self-adhesive. So I adore them and I will definitely miss them. So make sure you go out and get that last chance stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. Now, again, if you don't have the stamp set I'm working with and you got supplies from me, you might have to have a little looky-loo through your sets, because I did send in your little packets. Again, I can't stamp anything for you. That's just Stampin' Up's rule. So I did send you the outline that would go here, which without the stamp, it might look a little funny, but I don't know. Putting it on there like that people know that's a windmill, right? Well, if you don't have that, you might have to find something else within your own stash, but that's okay. So I have gone ahead and I've stamped my own. So I'm just going to do a real quick color for the windmill. I'm using Crumb Cake. So I'm just going to do this a little bit here, a little bit here. And if you do have this stamp set in this paper, you need to go make this. I just love the windmill. So I'm just putting a little darker here, make the door a little darker. Where Stampin' Up's given me the little highlights, I'm going to highlight with the darker color, and then I'm going to come back through with my lighter color, and I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to actually make this a little darker too up here. Okay. And then I'm going to come through with the light and just give that a color. Oh, that end does not work very well, so I'm going to use my brush end. And you can see how it kind of blends together. I love our blends. If you don't have our blends, you need our blends. They just make everything so much nicer. Okay, so there's my windmill. Super easy peasy lemon squeezy. And let's go ahead and we're gonna pop this up on the for the final piece of this card. And again, if you guys don't have this set, I would not worry too much. I'm actually going to take some of my, you guys do this, right? You save your edges of your dimensionals because they're dimensionals. They're just different shaped. So I'm actually going to lay one right up here because we don't want our little pieces falling, right? And one right here because we want it to be supported. Yippee skippy. Right? And whoops, I just pulled that right off. That was crazy. Okay. And then we're going to just put this right here. Love it, love it, love it. So that would be card actually number 2 on your project sheet if you got the supplies from me. Now, if you're liking this and would like the project sheet, all you have to do is place an order using this code and I'll be happy to email you the project sheet. So it doesn't matter what size order, as long as you place an order before the end of April, I'm happy to send you the project sheet for free. Okay, we're going to move on to the last card. Okay, this is our 4th card in this series of Flowering Fields. I am going to change this up just a little bit. Like I used the back of this designer series paper, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit because I want it to look more like clouds. So I'm going to set this aside and I'll show you what paper. So this was the paper, and see on the back, it's kind of got like clouds, right? So this just has to be cut to your 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it at 4 real quick. And let's see, which one do we want that has more of cloudiness? but I want a little bit of blue in there too. So maybe, why don't we do this one? And then this would be 5 1/4. Oh, I don't know. Do I like that? Because we have to put that on there too. So we want to make sure that we're not overwhelming. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this one. And I'll show you why in one sec here. So there's our background, or we could use this background. Should we do this background? Oh, you know what? I think I might like that better. So you just have to decide for yourself. This is just me being silly. Okay. So I'm going to use this as my background. And it looks kind of cloudy, you know, like, yeah. That's perfect. So in your little thing of supplies, you'll have your pool party. And go ahead and fold that in half. And I'm going to use my bone folder, obviously. Okay, and then let's put this here. But do we want it this way? Again, we want, you know what? I'm going to put it this way. Just because the clouds are a little bit higher. And you have to do what's best for you. If you like the darker blue on my original, go for it. I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I'm going to take this piece of scrap white with my Poppy Parade, along with, I'm going to take this to make sure. And this is part of the set too. Just thinking of you today. I'm going to stamp it a little higher because I'm going to punch it out and get that out of my way. So I'm punching it out with the oval punch here. Oh, and I might have messed that up a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to do that upside down here. I should have done it this way instead of this way, but that's okay. It still works. Oh, you know what? I want it bigger. So no, that doesn't work. See, you guys? Whew, you're learning from me. Learning what not to do, people. What not to do. We'll try that one more time. We could do the smaller oval, I suppose, which would not be that big of a deal. We'll punch out both of them and we'll see which one works best. So, of course, I always punch upside down so we know where we're punching. And I am going to try this one too because it might actually work out. All the words fit in it. So maybe it'll be nicer with the smaller. We'll check it. We'll check it out. How about that? Okay, so that is that. And then we want to decide where that should go. So we could do that, or we could do that. Now let's put together our windmill while we're thinking about that. So again, you should have gotten the body. Now this is a little different. You did have 2 crumb cakes, but now this is Early Espresso, where your first one was Soft Suede. Again, I'm just going to hit it in the key places that have actually some room, and I'll try to hit a little on the edges too, but I'm not too worried about it. Yep, I'm just going to do that. Again, this die is a little too detailed for our adhesive sheets. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then I'm going to poke a hole right where it says there should be a hole so we can put our brad in there. And you should have gotten 2 brads in the little envelope that you got from me, if you got the supplies from me. And you guys remember, all my classes are available to be mailed to you, classes on the go, if you will. You'll just get a video like a week after the original class goes in. So again, this is a little too long for me, the legs on the brad. So we're going to go ahead and snip them off. And we don't want it to go on too tight because we want our windmill the blades to actually turn. So I'm just going to kind of loosely put it on there. And then, I know some of the gals were having trouble, but I think it's because they just had it a little too tight. But there you go. Okay, so our windmill's ready. Now, we just have to decide which, which saying do we want on there. We can do that, or we could do that. Or if you have the double punch, you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of Gorgeous Grape. And we're going to go ahead, and I'm totally doing this different than what is planned here. But since I got that to cut out, how about if we get this to punch out? And we can add that to it. This is just called thinking on the fly, especially since I changed my paper. But you do whatever you want, you guys. I'm sure you have circle punches, you have different sayings that you would use, and that works too. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and glue that down. How fun. Oh, there you go. Move it a little bit up there. Okay, so what we want to do is lay down this with dimensionals so it pops up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to lift this a little higher. You don't want it too high to cover everything up, but high enough you can still read the, and then we're going to put down our poppies. So I think though I'm going to end with this one. So I'm going to do a Roy G. Biv kind of thing. So you know how you do red, orange, yellow. And I'm just putting it on the edges. I don't care about, I want the flowers to kind of stick off. So, oops, we're going to do this. We really are. Okay. So, you know, kind of like you're in Holland, right? The Netherlands. And then that would be the next one coming down. Isn't this cute, you guys? I love it. Love it. Now this die is not retiring, I don't believe. But the windmill one is. So don't delay. If you have a little bit of a hang off, I'm just going to take my scissors. I actually am going to bring that down just a little bit. I'm going to take my scissors and trim that away. And there you go. You have your second card. Is that stinking cute or what, you guys? I love it. So do whatever you want. Again, with your backgrounds, you have that whole pack of paper to use if you've bought the supplies from me. There's so many possibilities. So go for it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the class. I'll show you these one more time, all the fun ones we did. Let's see, I think, yep. So we got these, this one, and this one. How fun is that, you guys? Thank you so much for joining me and supporting my little business. And if you have any questions, let me know. Happy stamping.